Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner.
Hi, everybody.
How's it going, Robin?
It's going great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully.
Well, tell us what's on your mind, Brian.
Oh, is it just you want to pick my brain? Is that what's going on here?
I want to know what you're thinking.
So I was watching something recently, and there was like the picture of the Eiffel Tower that is in Paris, obviously. And I was like, that thing looks so cool. Like,
it's beautiful. It's amazing.
And we must have been watching something about structures like that around the world, because like there was also like a picture of the Statue of Liberty. And by the way, I didn't know this. There are other Statue of Liberties around the world that don't have clothes on.
And that is relevant because...
Well, I just thought it just stuck with me. I'm like, oh, wait, we as a country,
just because we think we know everything doesn't mean there's not anything else out there.
Right. We were fairly conservative, especially at the time we got that thing. And so we were like, we'll take one of those, but it's got to have clothes on. Right?
I think it was a gift.
I know. Yeah, we'll take it, but make sure it's got a robe on, right?
And now you're just making stuff up. What's the point?
Yeah, anyway, these things look gorgeous. Like when they are fully finished, right?
Yes.
They look awesome. They're awe-inspiring. They really are. And you might look at someone else's Amazon business and be inspired in that exact same way and go, oh,
that's
I
beautiful.
want one of those. Like, I just want my business to look like that, right?
It's all symmetrical. And, all the pieces match, and it's...
I didn't take the time to go look, but I suspect that when they were actually assembling the Eiffel Tower, that it looked nothing like it does today, right?
I've seen pictures of when they were put together, and it's just, a bunch of sticks and like dirt, and it's not beautiful like it is today. People were not standing in front of it taking pictures.
So could you compare that to an Amazon business then?
Absolutely. That's exactly what the early stages look like in your arbitrage business. It's, you've got shipping labels everywhere, your boxes, you're tripping over boxes, and is this inventory or is that a kid's toy?
Right. Is that a return? Yeah.
It's not nice and clean and finished. It's noisy and it's messy. And it doesn't look like success yet.
It doesn't look like the Eiffel Tower yet.
But it's what the success is built on. It's part of the plan.
It has to be kind of a mess early on, right? I mean, we've built a couple of homes, and in those early days, like when they're just sort of digging out the dirt to make the foundation, or even just got the foundation poured and they're starting to frame things up, and you're like, gosh, this thing is a mess, right? Oh, and especially a mess before people actually get inside and start doing the finishing work, or even after the finishing work is all done. It's still a disaster in there, right?
Nobody would want to live there at that point, right? But if you go to your contractor and you say, this is a mess, he's going to go, yes, it's all part of the plan. Hang on. We're going to get there. Don't get excited.
Right.
I've done this before.
Well, and here's what will tend to throw a lot of people off, and my experience, and I'm sure in yours as well, is you could be going through that whole messy period, and then something super painful in the moment pops up. If we're talking about the house building analogy, it's the plumbing inspection failed, or the foundation inspection failed, or something failed, right?
Yeah.
In the Amazon business space, it's
you have to go redo it.
I got an IP complaint. I got a Section 3. I'm out of storage space. There's all these things that will pop up.
Out of cash flow.
Oh, yeah. That's the other.
That one happens.
We try not to, we try to structure that so you don't run out of cash flow, but, right?
It happens.
Yeah. So what do you do when it's not just it's messy because you're building it, but then all of a sudden you get this, like, the red flag or whatever?
Well, I think you have to realize that it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just part of the game, and you have to build in those contingencies.
I think, if you go in expecting anything, then you'll be able to respond to those anythings that come up, right? And know that it is absolutely going to be part of the process. You are not going to skate free to building your Amazon replens business from $0 to $1 million a year without falling in some holes.
True. And we all do, and we all have, and that's part of the game, just like we said. But whatever we are putting in place now will give us benefit later as we go along, as long as we structure it properly. So I have a quote from Robert Louis Stevenson. I know. I have a quote.
My lines. Wow.
That's all right. You can still have a quote later. But
Okay.
on this point, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap,
Mm-hmm.
but by the seeds you plant. That's what Robert Louis Stevenson said. And that's what we need to focus on. What am I doing now that's going to make a difference in the future, even though I can't see the impact right now?
You know, it's a great point, and I think we've talked about this a number of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But this quote kind of sums it up in one sentence here. This is why guys like Robert Louis Stevenson are so well known. And we have to have 4 podcasts to talk about the same thing, right?
Yes.
And they get it down in one sentence, right? The ability to distill it down to this first principle, which is, in this case, you're not going to see these things popping up out of the ground every day, especially in the early days. And you might have to pull a weed
here and there.
Especially in the quiet period when you're, doing a lot of work and not getting a lot of feedback. Mm-hmm. So it is about the seeds that you plant. But I would say even when you're looking at Keep It charts, when you're bridging the gap on products, when you're building your viable ASIN database, nothing about that is making you money yet, but all has to be done.
Right. Because it's all part of the foundation that you're building upon.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself something to build upon. Okay.
So what we're trying to say is, when there's a mess, that means you're actually building. You're going in the right direction, right?
Yeah. Do you remember when we first started, we would go to the store and we'd load up our car, our SUV, full to the max. We'd get all excited. Oh, I'm going to buy some of this. I'm going to buy some of that. And we got as much as we could. And then we live in an apartment, so we had to put it in a wagon and bring it from the parking garage down the hall, trip after trip after. And then we had a mess. In the living room, in the room we had for prepping, we had boxes everywhere. We didn't know, like you said, we didn't know what was inventory and what was returns and what it was. And we had a little dog, Rudy.
Oh, yeah.
Our little sweet little mini schnauzer, Rudy, little white mini schnauzer. We no longer have Rudy, but Rudy did not like this chaos.
He was like
freaking out.
His normal paths throughout the apartment were cut off, and now he's like, "What is going on here?"
He's like,
right?
I do not care for this.
He was like, "What was the prep room, or what was the Amazon room turned into the Amazon apartment?" Right?
Yes.
So because it was everywhere,
the whole apartment was filled, and then we had to get a shipment out. I mean, we put ourselves in a position where there was no choice but to get a shipment out, or we were going to live in discomfort.
And that's why, that was one of the things we learned then, and or a long time ago, actually, and we try to apply it even today.
Yeah.
Just call it. It's going to be done.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's sort of like Babe Ruth, right? Pointing to the stands where he's going to hit it.
Right.
Well, how many times did he do that and not hit a home run? Do you think he felt any pressure when he said, I'm going to hit one out of the park over there? And then he turned around and did it?
Yeah.
I wasn't there and I don't know the whole story, but just saying it's done is going to make a huge difference. Yeah. Claim it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't hold back. We were putting ourselves in the position where we had to take the next step. And we were willing to do that because we believed in what was happening here. And that's sometimes the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was chaos, but we were in motion. And that made so much difference. It's kind of like the first time we had someone help us with our shopping shipping in another city.
Mm-hmm.
We put ourselves in the position where she was relying on us to give her work.
That's right.
And so we couldn't quit. We had to give her work. We had to
keep going. And that
was probably one of the best things we ever did.
100%. It helps you actually work toward defining, right? Getting it documented, establishing a process and system so that anyone else can do it.
Right. And it gives you the ability to understand where to focus your systems.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can build a whole playbook and stuff, but until you get in there and start seeing what systems you need, like at that point we were like, okay, we need a system for making sure we have, we know where the poly bags are. We know what to do with inventory when we bring it in. We actually got a system where we staged items to, we were doing like 200 units twice a week at this time, right? about as much as we could do by ourselves. And we had a staging place where we put inventory that hadn't been prepped, and then a staging place where it's been prepped, and a place where we weigh boxes, and like we put some systems together. You may not realize you're putting systems together while you're doing it, but these are the systems, and they need to be documented.
And if you don't have chaos going on when you haven't figured things out yet,
it's going to feel like chaos.
Then you don't have enough going on. Right? I hate to say then you need to work harder.
More movement.
Because it's not about working harder. But yeah, like if
more action.
If everything is within your comfort zone, if you're playing it safe, and so that's the reason you don't, because you don't do well with chaos. Right? I mean, who does? It's like we've known somebody who's like, I don't do well at funerals. I don't know anyone who does well at funerals, right? Like none of us do well in uncertain times. None of us do well when things are a mess. I mean, there are those who may thrive in chaos and uncertainty, but for the vast majority of people, I believe, we do all sort of struggle with these things. And you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone a little bit and create some of that chaos by way of taking action. And that taking action is going to create this sort of mess for you that you're going to have to get in there. And then as you solve these problems, that's what's going to build your system forward, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Solve the problems that you just you just walked into so that you could find a solution.
Yeah.
Right.
So you were talking about we rarely prep things at home anymore. Our prep is about 80 miles away today. And that prep room is way more organized than ours.
Oh my goodness.
And it wasn't that we weren't organized, because I knew as soon as Robin came and started helping with the prep and pack and all that sort of stuff that we were going to have some level of organization, because that's the way she operates. But the poly bag situation is to this day. Like, how do you get the poly bags in an efficient way so that you can just grab one? It needs to come out of a tissue box, right? Like, you know how you can just pull one and it just brings the next one up?
Okay, so I'm going off script here, but I have to tell the story of Brian in the poly bags. We live in Denver, and it's very, very, very dry here, especially in the wintertime. And so static electricity is common. Like you shock yourself often, turning on and off the light, touching each other. There's often a shock. So poly bags had those little strips on them that you pull off. We were covered in these little strips. Brian was so frustrated with these little strips everywhere, and you can't let go of it because of the static electricity.
Shake your hand really hard, like you're.
It was funny. So this was one of Brian's contributions was to find some poly bags that didn't have those kinds of strips on them.
And there are some good ones out there, fortunately. But but anyway, the whole you think you get a system
went to
down.
Polytubing. And
here's what happens: you get a system down. Am I jumping ahead when I tell this story? You get a system down. You expand the limits. You start pushing the limits of that system. I guess is what I'm looking for. Yeah. And then things break.
Find out where it's going to break. That's what you want. You want to find out where it's going to break.
So the systems that we had set up were great for 200 units a week. When we started to double that, all of a sudden we needed whole new systems, right?
And two more people.
Maybe not whole new systems. They needed to be tweaked, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to scale.
Right. We had to learn how to scale that up. And so what worked for us really well in terms of organization and everything in that prep room, as soon as we started testing the limits of that, things fell apart, and we had to come up with slightly tweaked systems in order for that to be able to scale so that we weren't living in polybag strip heck all the time, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So it makes me think of a story, an analogy of a restaurant, right? You've worked in a restaurant before. We both worked in restaurants when we were young. And at a dinner house, if there is food going out and it's dinner rush and you've taken orders and you're, cooking, something happens, like say you spill a sauce and it burned. You can't stop service because something happened in the kitchen that wasn't according to plan. You have to find a way, you adjust, change stations, put somebody on making another sauce, and keep getting those dinners out. Otherwise, you lose everything that you've, built the momentum for, all those orders that you've already taken. You're going to lose all those customers for next time. Like, you can't just stop in the middle. You've got to keep finding a way to move forward, right?
Yeah, and the same thing applies in the Amazon business, because I said earlier, this is maybe where I got a little ahead, that you're going to fall in a hole at some point as you're building your business, your foundation, and then there are still going to be surprises even after you sort of get to a point where you decide that you're going to plateau. You are still facing challenges all the time. But the Amazon setbacks that are going to pop up, such as an IP complaint, I mentioned the Section 3, when something unexpected happened like that, a stranded listing, you sourced the wrong item, all of a sudden a shipment got lost. We're not in 100% control of everything that we're doing here. But the things that we can control, we need to be really good at, and then we need to adjust to the other ones. But you can't shut down your whole business because you lost a shipment, right? Can't shut down your whole business. I mean, you can.
Stop. I mean, but if you stop and go think about it and try to figure out what happened and ask everybody, how can they do that?
Yeah.
Then you're going to lose all that momentum that you've built, and you're going to have to start over again. We don't want that to happen to you. So that's why we're saying, when you hear us saying, this could happen, that could happen, you might be saying, wow, all these things could happen. I don't know if I want to do this thing. What we want you to do is get comfortable with the things that are going to happen in business, in this business or any other business.
That's right.
These things are going to happen. Get comfortable with them. And we want you to celebrate when they happen early, because us figuring out, some of those, how do we stage the inventory when we bring it in, when we're at 100 units, as opposed to when we're at 1,000 units, it's much easier to adjust and make that work in the early days. So when I'm working with people, I want them to celebrate, oh, I'm so glad I can see where I need to make a system for that early on, instead of when I'm in the middle of the dinner rush and, I can't, things are moving too fast and I don't know what to do, right?
Yep. So we have fairly recently had someone who experienced something like this. It wasn't as impactful as an IP complaint or a compliance flag, more like a stranded listing situation. It was a listing that they were fulfilling, but they got an email from Amazon saying, hey, we need some compliance documentation for this, or we're going to shut down the listing.
Yeah.
Now, having been in that situation myself before, oh, by the way, you didn't comment on my shirt.
Oh, yes.
One of my
Keep calm
favorite shirts.
And Tess Maurice,
Yes.
He wears this all the time. All the time.
It's super comfy, and it has a great message. So
yes, it does.
Anyway,
given to us by friends. They gave me one too.
When you get this compliance request, you can halt everything and go searching for 2-3 days, 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months. Who knows how long it might take to find this if you want. But really, we're talking about one listing, right? So we don't need to pause everything just to go handle this. And as it turns out, every person who is on that listing gets this notification from Amazon. We need compliance documentation. And while I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything every time this pops up, the majority of time, somebody else is going to find that documentation and they'll supply it to Amazon, and that checks the box for everybody.
Yes. So don't panic, especially, and this is a great time to have a coach, because, me by myself, I might panic over that. Oh, no. But having a coach, you can say, okay, I got this letter. It looks like, I'm in trouble. And then we can say, no, it's okay. I've seen this 1,000 times before. Here's what they're telling you. Here's what you need to do. Here's what likely will happen. If it doesn't, here's how you handle it. No panic necessary. So many of those things are that way. And having a coach, a one-on-one personal coach, just solves a lot of that.
So one of the things I want to bring up, and I'm going to go off script now.
Uh-oh.
I'm going off script. You keep stealing my off script time.
Sorry.
Is that, you touched on it earlier around the business challenges. I mean, there are certainly some nuances with an Amazon business, but at the end of the day, most of the challenges that we face in this business are business challenges. I don't care if it's an Amazon or an e-commerce business. I don't care if it's a food service business, a service business like a dry cleaning business or a laundromat, or if you have a consulting company, or if you're doing a
storefront,
Jim's auto repair or IT repair or whatever, right? Not really Jim. That was the name that came to my mind. you are going to have business problems, and the same kind of business problems that you have in those businesses apply here. And it's those who persevere and find a way to solve those challenges that find success, because you will be as successful ultimately as you're resilient as resilient as you are. Right?
You'll be as successful as you are resilient.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you for wordsmithing me on the fly.
On the fly. Right? Do it all the time. It's part of our life.
There is no shortage of, I'll say, even franchises, food service franchises, that there's one that goes out of business because the franchise owner didn't know how to overcome the challenges. Yet, it is a thriving franchise-based business model across the United States, across the world, right? So, that we see the exact same thing in the Amazon space, right? There was a comment fairly recently in the Facebook group about, I was thinking about coming back to Amazon. I, used to do this back in 2017, 2018, but I quit because the gating was getting out of control, right? And the feedback that almost everyone gave to him was, if you thought it was bad then, right? And so what I'm saying is it has gotten progressively one of these challenges that you have to address, especially early on.
So many things have gotten so much better because of that gating.
But hold on, let me get to the point here.
Sorry.
Which is that are the gating challenges harder today than they were in 2018? 100%. But we still see people going from $0 to $25,000 a month or $40,000 a month or $100,000 a month in a very short window of time. And for these people who are coming in today, they don't know any different. If you're new, you don't know how easy it was back in the day. And I say easy. There were other challenges that existed.
Easy. Some things not so much.
Easy around gating.
Did you try to create a shipping plan back then?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there were. So, yeah, you're right. While some things have gotten harder, other parts of the business have gotten way easier. And I think you agree with me on this. It's easier if we can get over those first hurdles about finding things to sell and start getting those gates to come down. You can really take off in this business today compared to 2018.
In a way that we couldn't. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. Absolutely. Okay. Because I like to say, those who find a way find success.
That's right. Somebody's going to quote you on that someday.
Yeah. You think?
Yeah. Maybe even be me.
Maybe you have before.
So the lesson of that subject is really you have to keep the orders going out even while you're fixing what went wrong in the kitchen. Or as we like to say, it gets overused all the time. You have to build or repair the plane while you're flying, right? You can't just stop everything and hope to not crash.
Yeah.
Right?
Hoping not to crash is not a plan.
So the last topic for today we're going to chat about is how you can leverage your repetitions and what you're doing in your business into a pattern, into a habit that then becomes a system for you, right? And this is where I was trying to jump ahead to earlier. Because
you want to tell a story.
I know.
He wants to tell on me.
I think, and Robin would tell you, I'm pretty regimented. I'm really routine oriented. Like if one thing gets out of sync in my morning, I'll forget something because like the famous thing is I have to take these statin pills, right? And if something gets out of whack in the morning, like I have an appointment or I don't unload the dishwasher before, right? Like everything is very routine.
It's not my fault. His routine is built on emptying the dishwasher. Yeah. And so I have to allow him to do that. This is my giving.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Then I'll forget to take the pill.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to take my pill this morning, right? Or whatever.
Right.
But I've seen the same thing in you recently. Where
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like in the morning, you've got a set routine. You do, A, B, and C. And then recently you decided you're going to add a D in there. And the first couple of days, you might get the D done. You might not get the D done, but you might miss the B or the C or the A, right? Because it's a new thing that is going into the system that you're into your process of the morning that throws things off.
Right. Other things get missed because of,
Right. And then you get that ironed down, right? Ironed out.
Doing
you get
pretty good.
You got 4. Now you're like moving like clockwork, A, B, C, D, and then you add an E. And then the same thing happens. It
the
breaks.
D that I just finished.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to do that because I was doing E and I never got, and you got to burn it in.
It's repetition. Repetition's going to burn that in, right?
But what would happen if I said, oh, well, I'm not going to do E?
Oh, well, I must not be able to do E because I never remember to do it.
Because,
so
it throws everything else off, so it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
Rather than burning it in. Okay, I'm going to consciously do D and E. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to do a checklist, something visual that helps me know that, remember it and get it done until I have E burned in.
That's what I was going to say.
And then I'll add another.
Yeah, you make yourself something to make sure that E doesn't fail. Right? So checklist is one of the easiest ways to do this.
I love a checklist.
Right? Checklist manifesto.
Got to read it.
Got to read
beautiful
that book.
book.
Yeah. So this apply in the business too, right? When we're doing stuff in the business.
Absolutely. We get our cycles going. Well, in the beginning, you only have one thing you can do is sourcing, right? You're going to find something that you can sell. And then you add another thing to it. Oh, I found something. Now I have to go shopping for it. And this is, has to do with the 7 core competencies that we did a series on last year.
Yeah.
Now I got to go shopping for it. And I got to figure out my routine and my systems for that, which is not going to happen the first time I go shopping. Trust me, you're going to make a lot of adjustments in the beginning. And then I have to add another thing to it. I have to prep that item. Well, how do I prep it? Does it need a poly bag? Does it not? How do I make a sticker? What's my system there? Then I have to add the, creating a shipping plan and dropping it off and shipping it into Amazon. Well, do I have them pick them up? Which UPS do I drop it off at? Remember not to drop it off at U.S. Post Office. That's not the right one.
Actually, you had someone do that.
I did have someone do that in one of my Kickstarts. So all these things, you have to add one, and you have to pretty quickly add those things in the beginning, which is why we have to be comfortable with the fact that we might mess something up while we're trying to put something else together. Now is the time to do that. Celebrate that.
Yep.
Hey, I'm glad I did it now before I had, $500,000 in this thing, and I all of a sudden realize I've got a big mistake that I have to correct. And
that reminds me of like when you do this enough times, and I say this, whatever, if it's the 7 core competencies, if it's your sourcing process, if it's
your morning routine,
you're part of your morning routine, then you get pretty good at it over time. I mean, even though one thing, like for me, can get in and mess up the whole sequence, but to try and apply this to the Amazon business, there may be an ASIN that today you look at and go, yes, I'm going to test that. Whereas in your first, month, you would go, that doesn't look testable. Something looks off about that, right?
What if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
You're nervous.
But the repetitions, right, are going to get you to that point where you're able to look at something. Like I always sense that people are just blown away when they ask their coach. And I saw one of the other coaches on our team give a very similar answer to this. Like, how long does it take you to make a decision about whether you're going to do something? And the coach's answer in this example was like 15 or 20 seconds. 15 or 20 seconds, okay, that you can make a decision about whether you're going to test something or not. Okay.
So then somebody comes to you and says, well, Brian, I must be doing something wrong because it takes me 15 or 20 minutes to make a decision. And
reps.
What do you say?
It's all about the reps. You're
not doing anything wrong.
So I had another coaching couple actually recently where I was like, I need you to go do bridge the gap, okay, on 100 listings. So
meaning take an ASIN that you've vetted, find a source that you've vetted,
and
match
put those two things together, right?
Okay.
On 100. That was their wax on, sand the floor, paint the fence exercise, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, the first 50 took a long time. We started making up ground, though, in the second 50. And this is part of the reps. You just got to burn in those reps, right? You're like, okay, yeah, those first few times, it is so clunky. Wait, who's got the browser? What browser am I using? What store are we looking at, right? And then you do it again and again and again and again, and pretty soon it is burned in.
And that's the beauty of when you start seeing the magic happen, right? When you start smoothing out those systems, it starts feeling a lot easier and getting a lot faster usually. But you can't skip that initial messy part where your first reps are messy.
You can't even get to the part where you have a system if you don't go through the messy.
Right.
And so I was going to say this a minute ago. We're talking about celebrating things. Celebrate the chaos.
Yeah.
Embrace it. The uncomfortableness of it's super clunky right now. That just means if you keep doing it, it's going to get more comfortable.
Didn't somebody say you're not growing? If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing?
Yeah.
You got to stretch those comfort levels.
Yeah.
You'll have exactly what you had yesterday if you do exactly the same thing you did yesterday.
That's right. So if your workspace looks like a construction zone, like mine does.
Like yours does.
It's not for show. It's for function, right?
You never see what's in the front of his. Anyway,
right. Or what's on this table behind right here, right? Yeah. I'm
kind of bad about it too.
If your workspace looks like a construction zone, or you just hit your first speed bump of a IP complaint or something like that, congratulations. Yeah. Celebrate. That means that you're actually building and going in the right direction.
That's right. Perfect is fragile. Practice is resilient. So keep making those decisions and keep moving forward.
Yeah, you have to say yes to the reps. I was just saying a second ago, when it's clunky, like you still have to say yes to that, because there are always going to be these clunky tasks that exist in your business. So don't wait for beauty before you start getting, before you're going to start.
Yeah, you might be waiting for a while.
I'm going to think about it a lot and make it beautiful before I ever start.
Yeah, because I don't want to make any mistakes.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to wait until I'm sure I don't make a mistake.
Yep.
Then you can be waiting a while.
Yep.
So remember, consistency beats perfection.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. Brian, I know I've given quotes in this podcast, but I will give you your time. Do you have a quote for us?
I get the prime time quote?
You get the prime time quote.
The prime time quote. This is from Confucius.
And he said,
"It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop."
Let that sit for a minute.
You're the only one who gets to decide when it's over.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're facing an obstacle or some frustration or a challenge or distraction, none of those mean failure, maybe a temporary fall down, but we know how to get back up. Do you remember? You don't remember when you learned to walk as a child,
a toddler. Or becoming
you
a toddler.
fell a lot, but you didn't quit. You kept getting up.
That's right. That's right. It's quitting that means failure.
Yes, that's right.
Not obstacles.
Well, this is a great John Wooden quote that now brings it up. It's
another quote.
You don't fail unless you quit, right? It's not a failure unless you quit.
So the way I see it, if you have obstacles, frustrations, lack of knowledge about something, or you make a mistake, and that makes you quit, you can't find a way over that, or you're not willing to, then yes, you're done. But as long as you're trying to find a way through, you're still in the game.
That's right. You're still making progress.
And you haven't quit and you haven't found failure until you decide to quit.
So how do we know? How do we keep making progress?
We test more ASINs.
Test more ASINs. All right. Let's go test some more ASINs.
Let's go test some more ASINs.
Great to see everyone.
Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for joining us on today's episode. But we've got a little treat for you before I let you go. So hang around for a couple more minutes. We're going to spend some time with my good friend, Jeff Schik of jeffschik.com. If you've never heard our show before, you may not realize he is our resident expert for all things policy and legal. And once a week or so, we bring him on the show to share some tips and insights about what it's like to have Jeff and his team in your corner as an advocate, helping you for just a few dollars per month on retainer in anything Amazon, eBay, Walmart, e-commerce, policy, and legal. So what are you seeing lately, Jeff? What do you got for us today?
So what I wanted to talk about today was kind of dissecting, what a suspension is. How does it happen? What's the process look like? What are typical timelines and things like that? Just because there's so many horror stories that people have read that I think a lot of people sometimes don't realize what a suspension actually is. So I just want to kind of talk it through so that people have more of an understanding of what's really happening when they receive that email from Amazon saying, your account is under review, or from Walmart saying the same thing.
Makes sense. Yeah. So I didn't realize there was typical. So talk me through that.
Yeah. So, I'd say so. Here, the interesting thing is usually suspensions on Amazon or Walmart start off with what we call a notice period. Mainly that's because states like California have passed e-commerce sellers' Bill of Rights that require these marketplaces to give adequate notice before terminating accounts. So, except in cases of fraud or other, serious abuse. And so what that means is that, you're usually given a period of time. It could be 72 hours, which is, people will see the quote unquote 72-hour notice. That's the bare minimum required by California law. It could also be 7 days or 14 days. And it, sometimes the notice period is not defined. It'll say, hey, we're reviewing your account because we have concerns about X, Y, Z. And we'll let you know when our review is complete. But either way, no matter how it goes, it always starts with an email from Amazon saying, or Walmart saying, this is what we're concerned about. And it'll tell you your next steps. And so it's extremely important to read those next steps, but do not immediately take action. So many times sellers will receive the email, and I've seen it time and time again, where sellers will receive this email, for instance, we use Amazon just to stick with it because it's easier. They'll receive an email from Amazon saying your account is under review. You've got 72 hours. How may I, usually it'll say, how can I speed up this review process? And then it'll say, submit a case through your account health dashboard, or send an email to this specific email address. And that can help with your review process. Well, what happens is, I've seen it before. Unfortunately, sellers will get that email. They don't know who to call. They don't call us, and then they just go and they email it right away. I've seen emails such as, for instance, can you please tell me what I did wrong? Unfortunately, when you email Amazon or you open those cases, even if it's something just as simple as telling them, I don't understand this, that's considered an appeal to Amazon. And you've now used your first appeal slot for a failed appeal, because they're going to write back and say, we received your submission, but don't have enough information to resolve your concern at this time. Please review our initial email and submit a new appeal.
Wow.
So,
okay, I didn't realize that. That's new information for me. That counts as your first appeal. It's almost like the genie coming out of the lamp. It's like, I'll give you 3 wishes. It's like, huh? I said 3 wishes, but now you have 2 because that was your first one, asking me to clarify. It's like, wait.
Yeah.
What I do?
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't respond until you've got your attorney present.
You're right.
I love it.
Because what you say can be used against you. So I had one seller one time write back to the email and say, I don't understand this. What does this mean? And they literally, get a response back later. You received your appeal and cannot accept it, because it doesn't meet the criteria. Please, and that was considered a failed first appeal.
Wow.
And it makes it harder because the reps that receive the follow-up appeals will see that you've already been denied once, twice, 3 times, however many times you send those, to be honest, pointless emails.
Right.
Or even like emails I've had sellers say, like they were asked for, a bunch of documentation for brands that they sold. And they write back and say, I'm working on getting this all together, so you should have it by the end of the weekend. Oof. Again, we can't accept your appeal. You haven't, you didn't. And then the problem is now on Monday, when they submit all those documents, the person's going to look and see that on Friday, Sarah rejected the appeal. And unless they go in and read the notes and see what that actual appeal was, they're just going to see that this is now appeal attempt number 2 and that the first one was a failure. And so they're going to look at it more harshly.
Understood. So don't do it yourself is what I'm hearing. That's kind of the summary here. Don't try to do these things yourself, even if you think you know exactly what you're doing. Run it past a pro.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, especially because for our retainer clients, for instance, it covers the marketplace suspensions. So if you're on our $99 plan, it covers the marketplace you designate. If you're on any of our $150 or higher plans, it covers all marketplaces. So that way, you get the email from Walmart, you're not there, doing it alone, for instance, because Walmarts are a little bit more structured, they at least usually will have like a 25 to 30 question form to fill out that explains where things went wrong and how you're fixing it. But again, if you don't understand the questions and you kind of just, some of them can be quite technical. Like for instance, one of the questions in the form, and one of the forms they send out sometimes has to do with, what API software are you using? Well, if you don't know what an API is, writing in there that I don't know what this is not the right answer, because you actually might be using API software and you don't actually know it. You just don't know what it means, and so that, right. And then they hold that against you. Right.
Well, let's talk about Walmart next time. I'd love to dive in a little deeper. We haven't talked about them a whole lot yet.
But absolutely.
What's your success rate if you had to say, just kind of holding your feet to the fire a little bit. You deal with a lot of suspensions and for different reasons. And I know some of them, it's like, okay, we're dealing with a clown who was just being foolish. If we kind of eliminate those guys who tried to sell counterfeit Nikes, right?
Yeah.
And they knew they were doing it, bought them on Temu or whatever, like those guys don't deserve to be on any platform. But like the good guys that just make a mistake, right? And a forgivable error kind of thing. What is the reinstatement rate that you guys are seeing?
It's pretty variable, so certain offenses on Amazon are still considered extremely serious. And so, for instance, like counterfeit products, if they're concerned about the supply chain, especially if you're buying from these, buying from other sellers that are pretending to be wholesalers, it's going to make things really challenging.
Unauthorized sources. Yeah, which we drive that home. There's no excuse for that anymore.
So like if you're buying from unauthorized sources, yeah, it's going to be a challenge. Or if you provide, materially misleading information to the marketplace, they ask you a simple yes or no question, and you put a qualified yes when you should have said no. That's, again, not something that they're willing to overlook in most cases now. But besides, taking out for those cases, for the other types of cases we have, like order defect rates and late shipments, I mean, those ones are still batting about 100%. It's just, the cases I would say on Amazon have definitely gotten more complex. So a lot of stuff we work on now is just a lot more challenging, and it's more time consuming through the process. But it's not impossible. It just, in order to get to the finish line, it takes longer. And then for Walmart, they're still trying to figure things out. So we're seeing a lot of basic cases that we would have seen in Amazon in 2018 that we're now seeing on Walmart for the first time. But luckily, we've got our knowledge from how we used to handle it with Amazon, and it usually translates pretty well for Walmart. So,
outstanding. Well, let's talk about that next week if you're around. I'd love to dive into Walmart a little bit more and maybe dedicate one of our sessions just to Walmart.
Absolutely, you got it.
Sounds good. Well, for those of you who don't know Jeff and his team, go to jeffschik.com for a few dollars per month, put them on retainer, and then you can run all your legal policy questions past them. And if the worst happens, you've got an advocate in your corner that can help you get back it up in action quickly. So appreciate you, Jeff, man. Let's hang out again next week if you're around.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
buddy.
it.
Bye for now.